All right, last call. We can only talk for about 10 minutes. I know this is going to be rough, but Robin in DC is here again. And let me pull up all my movie magic on my end. Robin, welcome.
Thank you guys for taking my call again. Last time I called, or the last few times I called, you told me that you didn't have any ultimate. There was nothing that was ultimate, and that was the basis for anything that was, anything that could be, anything that couldn't be. You could provide that.
Well,
so I'm curious now.
I'm already going to stop you there. I didn't say anything. I said everything, right? We were talking about the ultimate in terms of it explaining everything.
Right. That's what I mean when I say anything.
Okay. Just making sure we're clear.
Yeah. So when I say anything and everything, a lot of times I'm conflating or equivocating between the two.
Okay.
But
tip in the future, that might be where some problems happen. So take it or leave it. But
I'll just try to clarify next time.
All right. We're on the same page. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious now because on the other token, you tell me that you're skeptical about things. But if you cannot provide for me any basis for what can be or what cannot be anything or everything, okay, then on what basis do you have to be skeptical about anything?
I think we need to break this down a little bit because you might be misremembering, and that's fine. It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked. What we were talking about when we talked about the ultimate is one reason for everything, one thing that gave everything else meaning, that caused everything else. And I'm saying I don't need that far back ultimate point to make sense of my day-to-day things. So here's a way that I am skeptical. I am skeptical that there is juice in this cup, right? I'm skeptical of that for a couple of reasons. A, I know that I made coffee this morning and I poured it into this cup and took it upstairs. So I know that that happened. I can also pick up the cup and look at it. It looks kind of dark and brown, which doesn't look like juice, looks more like coffee. I can sniff it. Sorry, I'm taking your I should probably use mine. I can sniff mine, right?
As long as you don't have COVID.
Smells like coffee. I can taste it. That is how I am being skeptical in this world. I am engaging with this world, questions as they come up based on surrounding criteria, experience, secondhand, other people weighing in. And that is how I come to these questions, right? Now, the problem that a lot of theists have is that they can't provide a cup or the coffee or the experience of having made the coffee earlier in the day. They need to rely on these far back, mysterious, ultimate things to make their case. And that's why I'm skeptical about it, right? Because if you could come to me and you could say, here is God. God is full of coffee right now. You can smell it. You can taste it. You can remember making that coffee and pouring it into God earlier today. We might have a fully different conversation, but no one's been able to do that. So I have problems.
How far back?
You cut out.
How far back are you going? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. How far back are you going then? When you make statements about coffee, you make statements about cups, you make statements about anything. How far back are you going, and when it's in terms of justification?
As far back as I can remember from my own personal experience, and then after that, I would have to talk with other people who were there and corroborated it.
Talking about on an ontological basis, what is there that is securing, as far back as you know, and when you come to your worldview, ontologically speaking, what is it that is securing, the statements that you're making?
I don't know if
I'm going to give an example so you can to ask some clarification.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about God's existence and him being the causal basis for everything, okay, we're saying that God is the basis for the laws of logic, okay, regularity in nature, okay, causation, correlation, all these things that God is responsible causally for.
That's
okay?
a nice definition that you made up.
Okay, well, hold on a minute. You're asking about. I'm using this as an example to bring clarity so that you can understand by example what I'm talking about and what I expect.
Okay,
as an
I
answer.
will.
Okay.
I will give you the floor. Continue.
Okay, so I point to in my worldview God is the causal basis. Okay, so in your worldview, what is the causal basis for? I mean, it doesn't have to be the causal basis for everything, but I want to know: do you have any ontological basis to make statements about what is the case at all? Anything?
I don't think that here's the deal. Here's the problem with that. You are making the case inherent in that question that there needs to be, right? And
I'm
that
not saying there needs to be. If there isn't one, then tell me there isn't one.
an ultimate cause for everything?
No. Well, I'm asking however far back you're going. You don't have to say it's ultimate, but however far back you know that there is a basis for. Okay, so when we're talking about a cup, there is going to be a causal basis for that cup, and that chain is going to lead ultimately back somewhere. If it's not ultimate, it's going to be somewhere. Okay, and I'm asking you, what is that causal basis for the cup, for the coffee, for anything
Well,
that you state?
can
How
I?
far back is this going,
I can. I
and what
can
is that?
Yeah.
address that, and that's, you know, if you're looking at the universe and you're looking at, okay, this coffee cup, its existence, its, you know, being able to test it and everything, we can apply, you know, the laws of physics to, you know, how the coffee cup interacts with the world and stuff, and we can ask the question of where did those laws of physics come from, and we can say, you know, why are the laws of physics the way that they are. And I think that, like, it's a good question, it's an interesting question, but it doesn't negate the fact that, like, they are the way that they are. And
Well, you can't substantiate that unless you give me a basis for that.
let me finish where I'm going with
Because
this.
you haven't given a causal argument.
Let me
You're
finish
just
where I'm
saying that
going
they
with.
are.
Let me finish where I'm going with this, because
All right.
we can look at that and we can say, okay, we know that the laws of physics are the way that they are. We know that we're, you know, that this universe with these laws
No,
of
we
physics exists based off of the anthropic principle, right? Because we know that we exist, we know that we're here, and so there has to be a universe that allows for life in order for us to exist in it, right?
Thomas, we don't know anything until you can give me a basis, okay, for what you're saying. I mean, I'm not going to just accept this. And when I call into you or any other show, when a Christian, any Christian makes statements about what they know, okay, Matt or you or anyone else will cut them off immediately and say, no, we don't know this because you haven't justified it. So again, I'm going to ask you, is there any causal basis, okay,
Well,
ultimate or otherwise,
we addressed this to some extent earlier in the show.
you made a claim about knowing the laws of
Robin, I
physics.
feel like you're getting a little bit agitated. Let's take a breath, okay?
We addressed this a little bit earlier in the show when we talked about hard solipsism. Like, I'll agree with you that, like, we can't know things, like, with absolute certainty. We can't know that we're not a brain in a vat. At best, we can get to, you know, Descartes' the cogito. I think, therefore I am. There's something here. There's something because I'm experiencing something. Something is experiencing something. Beyond that, I don't know what it is. I don't know the nature of it. But we do have sensory inputs. We do have ways that we interact with the world, that we can test the world. Is it a simulation? Am I a brain in a vat? Is it a real world? You know, I can't definitively say 100%, and neither can you. Like, that's kind of where.
Well, hold on. That's again, that's an unsubstantiated claim telling me that I can't justify something. But again, this is not responding to the question of what your causal basis is for making any statement. I haven't heard one. Okay, if you're going to claim the laws of physics, you haven't clearly said that the laws of physics are the causal basis. So if you're going to tell me that, then go ahead and tell me that the laws of physics, then we can work with that.
Robin,
But you haven't given me anything to work with so far.
Robin, maybe if we're not understanding or giving you the answer you want, you haven't asked the question in a way that we can understand. So explain what a causal basis is. Like, I'm 5.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about a causal chain. So when we're talking about, for example, a cup, okay? This is just a rough analogy, okay? We have the cup. The cup's existence is dependent upon a certain series of events, okay? That are causally linked, that result in the existence of the cup. Okay?
So somebody making the cup out of glass and someone getting sand and making that into the glass from which you make the cup.
Right. Well, this is a rough example, but yeah, there's a causal basis, right? So we're saying that this event is caused.
Do you really not know how cups are made? I'm so confused. You don't think? Hold on. Wait.
No, I know how cups are made. Obviously, I know how cups.
How do you know how cups are made?
Time doing this.
How do you know how cups are made, Robin? Do you think that you only know how this cup is made because God told you how?
No, I didn't claim that. I didn't claim that. I'm asking you.
How do you know how cups are made, Robin?
Okay.
Answer the question. How do you know how cups are made?
You didn't answer my question.
Because I'm trying to see something here, and you called into my show. How are cups made?
That's true. But, I mean, you call it, this is a call-in where people ask you questions, and I mean, so if you don't want to answer a question.
I will answer your question after you answer it. How are cups made? How do you know how they're made?
You know how they're made. The cups are made in factories.
Okay. And where do the factories come from?
People built them.
Okay, and where do people come from?
They're born out of other people, but ultimately God is the cause for the existence of the world and people and everything else.
Okay, so let's stop it. They come out of other people, because we can agree up until that point. How did you know all of that? Was that because of your God antenna, or did you intuit that because you were a human
Why do you
being
have to be
in the world?
disrespectful and refer to it as a God antenna?
You agreed with it last time. I'm using the language
I
you
didn't
laughed
agree
at.
with it. No, you called it a God antenna. I just kind of ignored it, brushed it off my shoulder, but I'm going to call it out now because
All right, how would
nobody refers to it as God antenna.
No one refers to it as a
Okay, so
causal basis either. We're both using made-up
causal
terms.
basis. This is not a made-up term. You
It
don't
is.
know what causal
Every
causation
term
is
is made
and causal
up.
basis?
Dude,
Okay,
listen to me.
all right, look. Okay.
Listen to me. Listen to me. The thing that I'm trying to do here is to point out that you know how this cup got made in the same way that I know how this cup got made, in that we understand that cups are made in factories, and factories are made out of bricks, and bricks are put together by people who come out of other people. There is nothing in that entire causal process that requires any kind of theist or atheist belief system. It just is, because we are
So
rational
it should be easy
beings.
for you to answer the question.
I just did. I know it
Okay, so
because
what-
we know that it happens. We have observed it happening multiple times. If you get a person to put bricks together into a factory to make cups, and then cups are made from that factory, I can confirm for you that that is how that happened.
Okay. So now we have, by the way, the cup example is a rough analogy, and I did acknowledge that earlier, okay? But it still stands, okay, as an example for how you provide a causal basis. So are you saying that the furthest you're going to go when it comes to the causal basis for things is human existence?
No, we can go back through the line of abiogenesis. We can go back. I talked about star formation. We can talk about the formation of the universe.
So how far back are you going? Ontologically speaking,
well, how far back
furthest
can we go? How far back can any of us go with certainty? Because a physicist will look at that and say, okay, we can demonstrably show, all the way back to, beyond how stars are formed. We can start observing, elements of the early universe, but beyond that, we're all in the dark. It doesn't matter if you're a Hindu, a Buddhist.
I mean, look, this should be simple. If you don't know how far back you go, then that sounds. I think you realize the implications of that, and I think that's.
No, I don't think you realize the implications of it, Robin. I don't think you realize that. No, I don't think that you realize the implications. That none of us can go any further back than that. Beyond that, you're wildly speculating. That's all you can do beyond that point. You can't show and you can't demonstrate.
It, but that's going against straying from the path, or straying from the question that I asked you about how far back are you going when it comes to justification causally. Okay, and none of you have provided an answer for that. If you don't know, just tell me you don't know how far back you're going.
No, I'm telling you how far back any of us can go.
Don't talk to us. Just speak for yourself.
Well, I can't go back any further than the physicists who are observing this stuff, and neither can you.
I'm talking to you, your worldview. I'm asking you about, according to your worldview, what is the furthest thing you're going to when it comes to causal bases?
All right, let's play along, but we are going to have to wrap this up. I'm willing to say that the farthest back that my worldview will allow me to go understanding cause and effect is the Big Bang. Beyond that, it's wild speculation.
I'd say moments after the Big Bang.
Fair.
Okay, so the Big Bang, define the Big Bang, please.
The point in non-existent space-time where it started. Everything happened.
Well,
Robin, what the fuck are you doing here? What is your end goal here? Can you just lay this out for me instead of playing these dumb word games with me? What's your goal here?
Yeah, the goal is to show you that outside from recognizing your atheism is incoherent, you're going to be completely lost.
I'm not, though. I know that there's coffee in this cup. That's all I need to know about this cup.
That's why I'm asking you. That's why I'm asking you to define your position, because you don't hold to Christianity. You don't hold to
your
Jesus
goal
Christ
is to call into a
God.
show.
And aside from that, you're not going to be. So look,
talk down condescendingly.
You told me the Big Bang, right?
Shut up, Robin. My co-host is talking.
Your goal is to call into a show to tell us how our position is utterly incoherent and that we're just completely lost, and yet you've provided nothing that tangibly, coherently make sense that can be demonstrated, aside from simply saying you don't have this one cause that explains for everything. And it's like, well, there's a lot of different ways that people have come up with to explain for, why the laws of physics are the way that they are, and the world and the universe interacts with, are based on the laws of physics. We know that, logic in and of itself. We've talked about,
it took about 10 minutes to get an answer, the Big Bang, out of you. Okay.
Maybe next time clarify your question a little bit more. Robin?
It doesn't sound like you have it all together.
Robin, here's my concern with this.
It doesn't sound like you have it together, Robin.
Here's my concern with this whole situation.
Why did it take me 10 minutes to get an answer out of you?
Because you were unclear in trying to play word games. If you had been honest about where you were going, we would have been able to answer this a lot sooner. Now, be quiet or I'm going to hang up. Are you gonna chill? Okay. Here's my problem. My problem with this is that you are clearly presenting a false dichotomy that you are assuming is universal for us. You got mad at us when we were like, we don't know anything beyond this point. You were like, how dare you tell me what I know or don't know? Well, I can turn that back around on you. How dare you say that it's either your way or everything is irrational and incoherent? That is a false dichotomy that you have not presented in any way, shape, or form as convincing. So you are calling in, making a positive claim and pretending like we have the burden of proof, and that is not only dishonest, because I know you know better, it's also lazy. So do a better job, get a better argument, and maybe we'll let you on again. Bye. All right.
Damn.
That's it. That's the show.
I can't drop these mics.
No mic drop for us. Yeah, we are locked in.
It's frustrating when callers call in like that, and like he clearly had a script of where he wanted to go. He wanted to be, condescending. And it's like, what is he trying to prove? He's just like, oh, you don't have this one thing that explains all. And it's like, how does God explain those things? How is it any better of a position other than just appealing to, something that he definitionally says? Well, oh, what is God? Well, God is the source of all logic. He's the source of all, the laws of physics. He's the source of this. He's the source of that. Okay, how? Show it, prove it, demonstrate it.
Right.
Actually come up with something rather than just like, I can do that exact same thing with like, not, and again, this feels like a cheap shot, but I can pull a unicorn out of my butt and be like, but unicorn here is the source of logic and physics. And like your God actually, it's minuscule by comparison, because your God, you say, is outside of time and space. My unicorn is actually in 5 spatial dimensions at once. And so it beats your God 10 times to Sunday, every time it plays chess against it. And it's like, I can come up with this definitional being, and just because in my mind it's better, it doesn't mean that this magical butt unicorn actually exists.
Also, you did a lot better than he did by actually pulling out a butt unicorn. Like, that's all I'm asking. Where is your butt unicorn, Robin?